just recently, Austin wins the Daytona 500. Where does that rank as far as memories for you? I mean, you have championships with Dad, memories that just pile up. Where does having your grandson get in the business, win the biggest race in the sport? We're in the 3-car.
In the 3.
Where does that rank?
You know, to me, it's right at the top. You know, nothing's thicker than blood. You know, I'll never forget the 98. Over all the championships and everything that Dale and I won, the first one was really great. It felt like somebody had picked a tractor and trailer off my shoulders winning that championship in 86. And but when Austin won that was probably for family. No different. I was standing on the truck with him in Texas Motor Speedway when you won that race, both of us. He and I was up there. And he jumped, had on him cowboy boots, and he jumped from up there to the bottom, from there to the bottom. And how he didn't break something, I don't know, running to the winner's circle. So that's what it is. It's nothing thicker than blood.
Yeah. You were talking about winning the championship in 86, and we had Kirk Shelmerdine on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he felt like even during those times, y'all were still a small team. Y'all always kind of felt like the underdog. And is that something that you felt as well, even in 86, 87, when y'all were you winning 10, 13 races a year, dominating? I know that physically the team was small, the building was small, the head count was small, but did y'all feel like, the little guy beating up on the Giants?
Definitely we did, and it was our deal. We had the old junkyard dogs, Chocolate and Will and all those guys. And but we never went to a race with Dale Earnhardt that we didn't think we were the car to beat. It was one of those deals that Junior Johnson and back in those days of Petty's and Junior and Bud Moore and all those guys, they just had a lot more money and a lot more support than we had. And we built it over the years. We finally built it. But, we were always looked at as the underdog, but Dale carried the load when we couldn't. So it was a win-win. I'll tell you a quick story, Dale Jr. I don't know if you ever heard this one, but 1985, he and Teresa come up and stayed at our house, and we'd taken old King Air 90 and we flew up to Pocono. And at that time, we blew about 8 or 9 engines, 10 engines, whatever it was. Worst year I think one of the worst years we ever had. And got back that evening. We didn't talk much on the plane. We got back, and where Dale's car was parked there at my house, there's a little brick wall, and I sat down there. I said, Dale, let me tell you, you're a lot better than this. You need to go find you someplace to drive. You need to get you a different ride. I'll let you out of your contract next year. You just need to go drive for somebody else. We ain't doing what a champion deserves. This is 1985. I never will forget him looking at me, and he says, we started it together, we're going to end it together. And I'll never forget that day sitting out there on that brick wall. And he was that kind of man. And he had other opportunities to go other places throughout the years, and even up in the 90s. And he never said anything to me about it or nothing, but I knew he did.
When did that bond really set? When did that bond, to say I'm not leaving you? How much earlier? Because you guys have sound like best friends since the 70s.
Well, he, I couldn't say when it did. We just always knew each other. We believed in each other. Even in 84, 81, we'd sit there in that old trailer down in South Carolina and talk about, man, we need to get back together someday. I said, we can't right now. I ain't got the money, ain't got the thing. We put Ricky Rudd in there and won a couple of races and won 4 poles in 83 to start with and won a couple of races. And I knew then that we could go out and win. And I said, that's when we put it back together. And there's such a long story, really, about how we got back together. It was Junior Johnson. Mike Curb had a lot to do with it. And I'll tell you those stories someday.
Well, that'll be when we get him back.
Yeah, we'll have him back on the show for that one.
But we asked Kirk Shelmerdine this question, and I want to ask you too. They had Dale's back, certainly publicly. But was there not one time where you might have had to pull Dale, just his aggressive driving, and you knew what he was doing? Did you ever have to go to him and just say, That was a little screwed up, Dale. Now, I mean, I don't know that I would have taken him out like that. I mean, any time did you get was it precarious of the way he was so aggressive?
Well, let me correct you. He never took anybody out. Somebody might have backed into him,
of course,
or whatever.
It was their fault. Got it.
I never said. If anything, I was probably the agitator.
Okay.
To help him along,
What took you so long, Dale?
No, we were at just another quick story. I got all kind. We were coming, took the white flag and was coming at Pocono to win the race, and Jeremy Mayfield hit him going in the tunnel.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that race.
Oh, yeah.
And knocked him up. And by the time he called across the finish line, he said, Richard, don't you do nothing. You come over here and see me.
Oh, he knew where you were going.
Yeah. So I didn't say nothing. I did what he told me, But that's kind of a bond we had. He knew me, I knew him.
Yeah. Wow. You were the aggressor. He calmed you down.
No.
That's good.
I guess I never even thought about it like that, but I guess the Junkyard Dogs, Richard Childress, Dale Earnhardt, they all were one and the same, and y'all kind of encouraged each other, the mentality that you had to be aggressive, and that y'all were going to go out there and do it and make it happen, and they's going to have to take it from you. What was to get a little deeper into Mike's question, I'll throw out a couple moments. And I want to know what the tougher one was, or what the toughest moment was when the controversy was the deepest. And the moments that I can think of are the Winston in '87. That was pretty difficult, but you won the race. Was the time when him and Jeff couldn't stop running over each other? Maybe the most difficult thing to navigate.
Jeff Bodine, you mean?
Jeff Bodine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the wreck at Richmond with Darrell Waltrip maybe the toughest waters to navigate? What was the most challenging time for maybe the team or you as the owner? Because it wasn't all smooth sailing. What was probably the more difficult part of that relationship with Dad?
Well, believe it or not, I can only think of one time that we really had a true disagreement over something. But it went away before we even started practice. But I supported about everything. Back then, it was over a pair of Nike tennis shoes or something.
Are you serious?
That Benny or Taylor or somebody had put together. And I said, hell, we ain't doing that. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I'll go back to one of the first fines I can ever remember getting was after Darrell and Dale and Darrell wrecked at Richmond. Dale pulls into the gas pump and they're interviewing. You can look at the story and watch his face. And I know that's why Les Richter and those guys gave us a fine.
Because he smiled.
Because he smiled when he said, that was just racing, or whatever he said. And he gave it one of those Earnhardt smiles, his mustache. I said, oh, Lord. It was a $10,000 fine, I think.
For a smile. Wow.
That's what got him, though.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. There was a lot into that smirk, I believe.
But 87 was those were tough, and that movie that they did, whatever the name of it was,
Days of Thunder.
Yeah, Days of Thunder was about the story with Dale and Bill Jr. And a lot of the story part was true. It didn't all go down like it. I remember Bill France bringing us in there and telling us that I want to see you guys run. If you have to run on each side of the racetrack, you're not going to get together again.
Yeah,
you're not going to destroy our sport.
So, as a kid watching that particular, I think that was probably the toughest part of Dad's career for me to understand, to understand. I know what happened at Richmond, and I know what he was trying to do there. I know what he was trying to do at the All-Star race with Bill Elliott in '87, but that year and a half or however long that was with Jeff, where whenever Dad got to him, he spun him out or ran into him, and Jeff did the same thing. And I mean, in points races, in the Busch race on Saturday, in the Cup race on Sunday, they were just throwing away points and throwing away races. I remember Dad got like a 5-lap penalty.
What?
5 laps?
Yeah, Charlotte.
At Charlotte, they put him in the penalty box, which no one had ever been put in before.
We got most of them laps back, though. We got a lot of them back.
And for me, as a kid watching, I'm like, God, Dad, come on, we're here. You know, you didn't even. I mean, he's fast, and there's a race to win. And as soon as he saw Bodine, he goes, "This is what I'm doing. this is what's going to happen."
It's like that dog and a rabbit. You just can't, no matter what, you're just going to chase that rabbit.
So there was never a point for you when you were like, "Come on, Dale, damn."
No, not really, because I can't say it on radio, but it was
We
one
ain't
of those.
live.
Yeah, it was one of those deals that whatever he gave up, guy Bodine, he deserved.
Oh, he had it coming.
and so I never did, because it was one of them deals we didn't want to be run over, and they started it. In my opinion, he started it, and once it started, we wasn't going to be the ones to give up. Mr. France helped us give up.
He did. He said it straight.
He was mad.
Yeah.
Was he,
So
was he
he
as
was-
mad
he
as
was
they
mad.
said?
So what Richard Childress is referring to is the moment in the Days of Thunder movie where where Bill France sets down the two drivers. That actually happened.
Japanese inspection, they called it in the movie,
Right.
right?
Japanese inspection.
I think it was
They
an
had to let us-
Italian restaurant. Though.
Yeah.
It
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah?
Was that right?
Yeah.
That's even more mob-like. That's pretty cool.
I know
What
it
did he
is.
say? What did he say? What exactly did he say? Was it close to that movie?
I don't remember watching the movie that close. I seen it one time, and they had some fat guy doing me as owner, and I didn't like that. So, excuse me, I don't know who he was.
At that point on, you turned it off. You don't know what they said, do you?
No, but he told us, he says, boys, you're not gonna. I can go back a little further in history on another story about Bill France Jr., but he just flat told us, he says, you're not going to destroy this sport. Rick Hendricks and I was there, and we were all sitting around the table in his conference room, and then he did put Dale and Bodine in a car and Rick and I in a car with him. I think he was with us, and we headed to an Italian restaurant.
Were you
So
and Rick?
Dad, let's say, so to get that clear, Dad and Jeff Bodine had to drive a rental car together
Yep.
to the restaurant. And
Yep.
so that's so interesting.
Who drove?
I don't even remember. I remember they were in one car, Rick and I was in the other one, and I think Bill Jr. was with us.
Wait, so were you and Rick at odds at all over that whole time?
No, at one time I was, but I realized it wasn't Rick Hendricks or me. It was our drivers, and it was up to them to work it out. And Rick and I talked one time after that, and he says, no matter what happened, during that, he said, we're not driving these cars. We own them, they drive them. So Rick Hendricks and I has always had a good relationship.
But I would assume that there would be some sort of expectation because if Bodine had it coming, that means he's causing stuff. Wouldn't the owners want to expect the other owner to sort of do something about their driver? I mean,
Yeah, did you and Rick Hendrick have a disagreement on who started it?
yeah.
No, probably, but I can't remember. But, it just kind of pissed me off every time I'd see him in a car out there, Jeff.
Did that night, was it over? I mean, was there ever any other run-ins with Bodine?
I don't think there was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
we all took it real serious. Rick and I and Dale and Bodine, we all took it serious. And but that was back in the days, and
No, that still works today. I have a couple years ago here at Junior Motorsports, had two employees that didn't get along, and I said they had to go to dinner. Yeah,
I
if
did
they
that.
wanted to keep their jobs, they had
Yep.
they had to invite each other to dinner, go to dinner, and sort it out.
yeah.
So that's forcing them to be together and forcing them to figure out how to have some
Make it
common
work.
ground.
Yeah.
Is a good way to do it.
Did you make them pay for it? The dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much you were wanting them to work it out.
Well,
Yeah.